You probably missed it, but Americans yesterday were killed trying to get into Cuba. Are we about to see another regime change?
And the Trump administration is pushing for answers after Cuba says it shot and killed 4 people on a U.S. registered speedboat. Cuba says the people on board were terrorists trying to infiltrate the island. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. will draw its own conclusions.
It is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened here, and we will know it soon. And then, we'll respond appropriately based on what that information tells us.
Carlos Jimenez is a congressman. He's a Republican from Florida. He's the chairman of the Transportation and Maritime Security Subcommittee. This hits close to home. It's only 90 miles from your constituents. What do you want to know from the State Department?
I want to know exactly what happened in that incident, and I want access to the 6 remaining Americans that are in Cuban hands right now. Supposedly they were injured, and they're being given medical treatment. So I don't trust the Cuban government in anything. I don't trust anything that they say. Their story has already changed, and so we need to find out exactly what happened there.
Where are those individuals getting treatment?
Well, it's somewhere, medical treatment somewhere in Cuba. I think that our ambassador is trying to get access to those individuals, and so far I don't think he's had access to them. And once we get access to them, then we get the other side of the story of exactly what happened there.
Okay, but I'm sorry, and I think Bill told me this earlier, but do we know if they're Americans or Cubans?
No, the Cubans are going to tell you that they're Cuban nationals. Even if they are American citizens and American residents, they still consider themselves or consider us Cuban nationals. I'm a member of Congress. In Cuba, I'm considered a Cuban national.
Got it.
Right? And so they're Cuban nationals, but I'm pretty sure that they came from the United States. They're either residents or citizens of the United States. The boat came from the Keys. It is not a speedboat. It is a 24-foot open fisherman with one 300 horsepower engine, and you got 10 people on it. It's not going to go very fast. And so the original story was that they were transporting, it was human, smuggling, and now that they're terrorists. So again, they're changing their story. We need to get to the bottom of it.
I think this congresswoman is right to not trust Cuba, but let's not forget, Cuba has been in the sights of the Trump administration trying to turn over and have some regime change on the island. This island, just 90 miles. We've all seen, right, this picture of the southernmost point in the United States in Key West, right, that big kind of anchoring concrete block. Well, that's just 90 miles from the Cuban border. And if you look at where this incident was on the map, it was the closest part of Cuba to the Keys. So do I trust what the Cuban regime is saying? Not at all. I think they have every reason to lie. Do I trust, though, what's going on with the Americans? This is my take. I think that we've always had a number of assets with the CIA and with other deep state agencies going in and out of Cuba as eyes and ears. I think that's increased since the incident in Venezuela. Venezuela showed us that we had eyes and ears and assets on the ground for years following Maduro. I think that's exactly what may be going on in this instance. I don't think this was human trafficking, because the truth of the matter is that human trafficking has been going on, or at least individuals leaving the country of Cuba have been going on for decades. That's nothing new. This, though, shows us that something different is happening. And yes, it was just a normal fishing boat, but I believe, again, these assets that we may be getting in and out of the country are doing so under the auspice of just a normal fishing boat. So there's more to this story, definitely more to this story. But what this Republican congressman is saying is true. Don't trust Cuba, that's for sure.
This is all happening at a time that's very interesting. Like, Cuba is in dire straits. It's not got the support of Venezuela anymore, and Russia's trying to get oil to it. But even Cuba, in the last couple of weeks, have told airlines that we don't even have enough jet fuel here. So is there any connection here, or is this all just a coincidence?
It could be. There could be a huge connection. Maybe they're using these 6 Americans as leverage for something that they want. But we can't deal with this regime. This regime is causing the humanitarian crisis in Cuba. It's time for the regime to go. And I'm glad and I'm very happy with the pressure that's being applied by the Trump administration and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We've seen this movie before from these folks, and it's time for them to go.
In your vision, if they go,
Again, look at how
then
close
what?
that is to the Keys.
Something better. You know what? I already know what I got. And so for me, it's time for the regime to go. It's not going to be an easy transition, but what we need is for Cuba not to be a security threat to the United States anymore, which they are right now. And we need free and democratic elections in Cuba so that Cuba can again become the jewel of the Caribbean that it was prior to this revolution that happened 65 years ago. And so, yeah, we need the regime to go, and then we need to move on from there to something better.
More than at any other time in your life since you've been here, is this the closest you have been to being as hopeful as possible that there might be change?
Absolutely. The regime is in its weakest position, and we have the right president, and we have the right Secretary of State, and the right policies in place in order to make it happen. Actually, you know, I've been here for over 65 years. This is, you know, the closest we've been to seeing a free Cuba, and for me, it can't happen soon enough.
Listen, they brought up an interesting point, and it should not be lost. Marco Rubio, his extended family, just one generation back, is from Cuba. So he is a part of a dissident family that left this regime, right? So yes, I agree that the time is now. I agree that it would only serve the country and the U.S. interests, the country of Cuba, and the U.S. interests well if there was regime change. The question is, what did we see yesterday? And I think what we're seeing is a matchbox. There's a tinder that's about to go off that will lead to an escalation that will not take long. Not take long. The Cuban infrastructure, as far as their military is concerned, is almost non-existent. The thing that we need to watch out for is the Russian interference, because Vladimir Putin has had his eyes on that island for a long time. They want deep water access to its ports. They want to be able to have radar and other infrastructure, military infrastructure on the island. So this is a strategic asset that has geopolitical implications. And what we're seeing yesterday, don't kid yourself. It was not just lost fishermen. It was not just a fishing boat that went off course. Believe me, if you've ever been in the Caribbean before, you can appreciate how close Cuba is to the continental United States and how much boat traffic is there. There's traffic that goes back and forth between and around Cuba all the time without incident. Why the incident yesterday? That is the question for this video. So let me know what you think. What are we seeing out of this tinder that's starting to go off in what is a critical island in the Caribbean for Donald Trump and his administration? What do you think about the connection now that we have a Secretary of State with Marco Rubio having family connections and a personal interest in making sure that we turn that island over and make it a little bit more democratic, or at least help it be so? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We'll see you in the next video.
We won!
Okay, let's go.